Kay gets an introduction. Okay. So, Kay, I'm going to give you a little introduction. I don't know where I got it from, right? But I'm going to read it. Is that okay? Okay. Kay is an anti-BS business coach. Now, isn't that cool? Okay. Kay is an anti-BS business coach with real world experience building and running her six-figure bookkeeping HR agency company since 2016 and her coaching practice since 2020. All right. On top of still running her booked out agency, she coaches entrepreneurs and commission-based sales professionals. And they hit and set their big goals in months instead of years through her done with you coaching style. Begins with an in-depth strategy session where you gain clarity on your goals. And I do think in order to be successful in sales, you need to have sales goals, right? And then you gain clarity on your goals, and then she has something called anti-goals. Isn't that interesting, right? Which she can tell you more about. And what's holding you back? You're getting this for free today for being at the event. So you get in a session with Kay. Then you start on the big mindset work and actual important tasks as you start making progress toward your goals in the real world while building a stronger internal belief system to help you get there faster. By the end, making money is suspiciously easy. What a great line. Making money is suspiciously easy. And you wonder why you spent so long trying to do it all on your own. You deserve to feel confident talking about your business, making more money, and enjoy the freedom you worked so hard to achieve. Coaching with Kay is where focused strategy meets magnetic conversions, and your bank account finally matches the effort you're putting in. So that's Kay's introduction, but I want to give you another introduction, Kay. Is that okay? One of the most challenging things I come across is people joining 1BC as a member and then going, how do I convert this to real business? And some people just really have struggle with that, or they don't understand it, or they don't know how to do that. And that's where Kay is brilliant at it. She has built her businesses through working by referral. Everybody loves to work by referral because it's the easiest way to build a business, but not everybody is really good at it, or they're clear about it, or they're confident. And that's where Kay absolutely 100% can help our members in this organization. So Kay, take it away.
Thank you, Greg. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Thumbs up, nods. Awesome. Perfect. All right. I'm working on a few different versions of this. So I'm really excited to give you guys kind of the inaugural rundown of this new version that I have. So like Greg said, a lot of people will struggle with actually converting people from the coffee chats, from networking. You get in a conversation's great, but it goes nowhere. That's probably the number one complaint I hear from people who want to use networking to its fullest potential. So that's what I'm going to give you kind of the high level rundown of today. And clickaroo, there we go. So there's a few different reasons why people might not do as well with networking as they think they should, or as well as they want. Sometimes it is just fear of like public speaking, getting up in front of a group and giving your 30, 45-second commercial, and you have it memorized in your head, but you got to say it out loud and your mind kind of goes blank and you get dumb. That happens to me if I don't prep enough. The other thing is avoiding small talk. Some people will walk into a networking event at the very last possible second just so they can avoid the small talk, but they're really avoiding all of the gold and the whole point of networking when they avoid kind of that open networking intro time. There's that always be closing mindset, which a lot of people don't like. It feels kind of icky, a little forced, kind of old school, and not really relationship based as it should be. And you kind of like Jean mentioned as well, not following up as much or as frequently as you should because you just don't know what to say. It feels maybe awkward, maybe forced, but it doesn't have to. When you have really good structured one-to-ones, that helps make all of this a whole lot easier. I think most of you know me, but for a couple of the new faces that don't know me, Hello, I am Kay Phillips. This is my micromanager, Holly. She shows up whenever I start talking. I am a professional yapper and what I call an ambivert. For those of you unfamiliar, that means I can turn on the extroversion when I need to and do presentations like this. And then I need to not talk for about 6 hours to recover because I recover as an introvert in silence, reading a book, petting a cat or a chicken or a cow or whatever. Since I do also have a 40-acre farm, there's plenty of things to cuddle and catch, and it's just a good time. Now, I've done all of this because I had to. I'm a kind of a typical millennial. I don't like social media. I'll scroll forever, but posting is not really my gig until recently, and I'm really trying to expand myself there. And I built 2 6-figure businesses without social media. They're 100% referral and networking based. So I figured out a thing or two over the last 10 years doing this. And when I'm not doing all of this is when I'm hanging out with my grandparents, helping them. They're both within a year or two of 90 on either side, but still fairly self-sufficient. So I'm over there a lot. I work with AI pretty often these days because my ADHD brain works really well with AI because it can more or less keep up with me at this point. And whenever you have a one-to-one with me, chances are, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, you're going to get an email introduction to somebody else within the next couple of days because I do a lot of networking and I get a lot of referrals because I give a lot of referrals.
Right.
Now, what not networking in a super optimized way is costing people is really avoiding those growth opportunities. So getting up and speaking in front of people, even though it makes you uncomfortable, it's missing out on partnerships. And I used to say like, I don't need partnerships. Well, let me tell you how fun it is to get PayPal notifications, even if it's only for like $9 because I referred somebody and that's their little like thank you commission to me. I'm absolutely loving that. And when you rely on like really random referrals instead of consistent, 2 out of every 5 conversations that I have turn into clients or referrals. That's very predictable. It's not random anymore. And that means that I can avoid the feast or famine cycles. And we all know feast and famine really sucks because bills show up every single month and never less bills. It's always more bills somehow. So what we're going to go over is really turning those conversations into conversions without being pushy, without being a bro or giving you or them the ick. We're going to do this through the anatomy of a coffee chat because a lot of us never learned correct anatomy for a coffee chat. I have, it's basically, we'll call it 4.5 steps. The first few minutes you spend building rapport and pre-framing. The pre-frame is, here's how this call is going to go. I'm going to ask you a few questions, get to know your business. You can get to know mine. And at the end, we'll see if there's a way we can support each other. Sound good? Awesome. Then you move into what I call my 4P system. This is where you ask them questions to get to know their people, problems, products, and partners. Because if you don't know these, you're not going to be able to refer them. And if you don't know these for yourself, people aren't going to be able to refer you either. So that's why we're going to dig into the 4P system. After you dig into that, they ask you questions about your business. Depending on the conversation, there's 2 spots where you can put in the ask. That's something Greg mentions a lot, is if you don't make the ask, if you don't make the offer, you're not going to get it. It seems really obvious that if people wanted what you had, they would just reach out. It's not always that simple, even though in our minds it should be. And then I always end on a valuable close. What can I do to support you today? Whether that's following them on Instagram or LinkedIn, making an introduction, making a referral, connecting them to a power partner, maybe like, hey, I don't have an audience that I can refer to you, but I know somebody who does. So there's always something valuable at the end. So digging into those 4Ps, like I said, you want to ask people these questions, but also ask yourself, because if you don't know the answers to these, your commercials are going to be really unclear. People aren't going to understand what you do, and you're not going to get referrals because of that. So I like to ask people, not what do you do? Because more or less you can figure out what people do from like their job title or their company name. I like to ask them, who do you love working with? or what makes somebody a really good or really bad client for you? What
Right.
types of clients energize you the most? Or how do you know when somebody's the perfect fit? Get them to describe their most ideal client so you can recognize them. Then you want to ask them, what are the problems your people are having? What keeps them up at night? What do they actually say out in the wild in life that cues me in that they need to talk to you? Or how do they usually try to solve it before they eventually find you? How do they complain about their problems with their friends? I was working with a financial advisor. I was kind of needling him and really pressuring him to get granular. He got a little mad at me. And this is a year or two ago. He was really struggling, and he eventually kind of got to the point. It's like, I just don't understand people like 25, 30, the people I know that have a house, they keep telling me that they're putting $100 extra towards their mortgage principal each month so they can pay off their house, 5 years sooner. He's like, if have them give me that $100, I could make so much more. They could pay off their house in like 5 years instead of 25
Oh,
years.
wow.
So to me, that was like, okay, you know what? My friend was just bragging the other day. She puts an extra $100 to her mortgage principal and an extra $50 to both of their student loans each month so she can pay it off sooner. If I tell her, put that $200 with financial advisor and you'll be better off all the way around, that's a whole lot easier referral. So that's what I mean when I say the problems, not they want to make more money and they're worried about retirement. Notice in that financial advisor, I didn't say anything about retirement, paying off the big bill sooner so you can actually retire. Because until you really hit, I think 40, 45, retirement's too far away to really worry about for a lot of us. And by that time, you're definitely behind the 8 ball. Next thing is
Hey,
figuring
Kay,
out,
can I interrupt for one
yeah,
second?
go ahead.
I'm going to let you keep going, and I know you understand this. I have a cat I have to let out
No
of
worries.
the room upstairs. So you guys keep going. I'll be right back. Thank
No
you.
worries. So the next thing you want to figure out is the product or maybe even the service, whatever they want to call it, that solves the problems for their people. You see how we're stacking those? And so asking them simply, okay, how do you solve those problems for your audience? Or what makes your approach different? What results do clients brag about? Do you have some testimonials? What's your favorite type? Because that'll tell you what they actually like to work on versus what they do because it pays the bills. And if you're really brave here, you can also ask them why they're better than other people or something that their industry is maybe known for, or a misnomer or connotation that they really hate. What other financial advisors do that really just grinds their gears. If you want to take that spin, that can be really good to open up the conversation, but they might get on a little bit of a soapbox, so use with caution. And this gives you an idea of how they actually solve those problems. And all of this information that you're asking them, you should be taking notes on in like keyword forms. So the products they offer could be like, the example, financial services, life insurance, could just be advisement, could be tax advisement, whatever the case may be. Put it in those keywords so it's searchable, because ideally you're popping all of this into a CRM or at the very least a spreadsheet so you can search it and find things really easily to make those connections. The final of the 4 Ps is going to be the partners. So these are people who have the same audience, but do something different. So who else do your clients typically work with? Maybe that's before or after working with their services. Maybe it's congruently. Maybe ask them who's a dream referral partner, or who do they love referring business to. I like asking people, who is it really easy for you to refer as a partner? Because that tells you how often they refer. They might not be great at giving referrals, and that gives you some insight depending on your offer and kind of your goal for the conversation, how much effort you want to put into the follow-up. If they're not very good at making introductions, you might have a lighter follow-up touch than if they make a lot of introductions. You might really want to stay in their world and set the next meeting right now so you stay top of mind. The real magic here is making sure that these are a lot of questions, but it's not meant to be an interrogation or an interview. It's meant to be a conversation. You don't have to ask them all. You don't have to ask them all in order. You can bounce around a little bit within those questions or ask deeper sub questions. The simplest one, whenever you ask a question and they give you maybe a convoluted answer or you're not entirely sure, just ask, oh, why is that? And that'll get them to keep talking even further. It's super simple and gives you a lot more context and details. It gives them an opportunity to talk about what they love. And we all know the quote, people won't remember what you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel. You're letting them talk in a way that most of the time doesn't happen on these coffee chats, and they're going to remember that. It also makes it very easy to open the door to a soft offer in that 4.5 to 5 step framework that I shared earlier, where you make the offer, you make the ask. Hey, you mentioned XYZ earlier, your clients usually need this service or that service. Would it be helpful if I made you an introduction to this type of industry? Does that usually work well? No. Oh, why not? I have a product that can actually, or a coaching package, whatever you sell, that could help you get more XYZ. There's different ways. So you got to customize it, kind of got to think for yourself a little bit there. But using what they've said earlier, as you're kind of going through those 4 Ps and turning that into their words you said earlier, offer. Would it be helpful if? And then put that right in there. It also makes it really easy to follow up because then you have a lot of details. On our last call, we talked about XYZ. How's that going? Did you make progress? Did you find a solution to that thing that you were struggling with? Hey, I saw in the news, financial advisors are getting this new compliance, something or other. Do you think that's going to affect you? The one big beautiful bill. How do you feel about that as a financial advisor? It's really easy to follow up when you have those kinds of details. So at your next event, virtual or otherwise, I don't want you to try to get business or leads. You're not there for business. You're not there for leads. You're there to be curious and make connections. And when you walk into an event with the attitude of, I'm here to give your time, hold the space, and not to get, that's when you're going to get, is when you're not trying. So isn't that how life always works? Everything comes to you the second you give up on it. Now, your next step in your mission, should you choose to accept it, and I hope you do, is as part of your entry price for being here on this call today or even watching the replay, I am offering everybody a free strategy session. So for 30 minutes, we'll dive into this and I can help you customize your questions, your 4 Ps, or, hey, this is what I do. How do I make my offer? How do I phrase it? What do I say to make it not icky, not pitchy? And you can book that using the QR code. You can scan it or you can take a picture, save it in your picture photo album. You can go back to it later and it'll still pull up the link on most phones. For sure, iPhones. Androids, 50-50. I think it depends on the brand. Apple for the win. But, I'm not biased. So that is my free gift to you for listening to me rattle today. Listen to this kind of new version of this. And I'm going to put some information in the chat as well. I did it's basically like an ebook, but blog style over on Substack where I'm really working on growing. And you can go and you get like one free view of a paid article. So it's a paid article. It's only $9 a month, but you get a free view and it goes over all of this really in depth, really in detail, gives you more and different questions to ask, digs deeper into the pre-framing, digs deeper into how to make the offer. So if you want to go check that out, definitely do that. You can do that before or after the breakthrough session. Either way is just fine, but I think you'll get a lot out of it. And I want you to remember that we're not out here playing Pokemon. We are not trying to catch them all. We are not trying to get all of the business cards. We are trying to be curators that are really collecting insights, opportunities, and relationships that will build for years. And so it's a little hustle now for long-term payoff.
Very good.
And if you have any questions, open to hearing them or drop them in the chat.
Cool.